Most of us have something in our attic or in our basement that reminds us of some of the achievements we made in high school or college. It's interesting how we have different symbols, different things that we use to honor people and their contribution and what they've accomplished in life. Maybe it's a piece of cloth that we attach to a graduation gown, it's a plaque, it's a ribbon, it's a trophy, it's a certificate. But the truth is, for most of us, we don't even know where this stuff is anymore. It's tucked away, we haven't seen it, maybe it's thrown away. What at one time was important to us because it helped us honor or acknowledge someone because of what they've done, somewhere along time loses its value. You see, there's nothing wrong in honoring someone for what they've accomplished or what they've contributed. That's an important part of celebrating what we do in life. But maybe honor has a different meaning. Maybe it's more important to honor someone because of who they are. Something happens when we begin to look at people from God's perspective because they're created by God. We tend to see people sometimes that are overlooked in a different way. We tend to see people who are in authority that God somehow has orchestrated and allowed them to be in a position in a different way. We tend to see our peers around us from a different light when we begin to attach honor or value to them based on the fact that God created and made them. What if we take the idea of performance out of the concept of honor and we define honor in a way that has more to do with who we are and who we belong to? What if we define honor this way, letting someone know you see how valuable they really are? If you want to honor someone in a way that will last a lot longer than maybe a trophy, you might consider a story I heard several years ago by a guy who owned a leading restaurant in our country. He said that he began to train his waiters and waitresses and the people who worked with the customers with this in mind. He would say to them every time someone walks in the door, he said, I want you to imagine putting a button on them that says, I want to feel like I'm worth something. So that you, in your mind, mentally recognize your role in helping them understand that they're valuable. What if, as parents and leaders, we recognize the importance of helping children as they grow up understand how to honor people around them? What would happen if we simply practiced what the restaurant owner did and we began to teach every child to look at the people around them as if they really believed God made them and as if they really were wearing an invisible button that said, make me feel like I'm worth something? That we recognize as Christian leaders that we have this great opportunity to raise a generation of Christians who look at the world around them and attach value to other people because they're created by God. During this next month, we're going to invite you as teachers and leaders, communicators, to take a journey through the life of David. There are an awful lot of lessons about honor that show up in his life. And it's interesting. He starts off as a boy who shows up on the battlefield and no one has any respect for him. No one recognizes his value or his worth. His dad doesn't, his brothers don't, King Saul and the army doesn't, even Goliath doesn't. But David, because of his relationship with God, recognizes his own intrinsic value. And he does something amazing. Then there was the part of David's story that involved Jonathan. You remember Jonathan? He was the rightful heir to the kingdom. Instead of being jealous of David's popularity, what did he do? He gave him a robe, a sword, his bow. Why? To show him honor because he recognized his value in the kingdom. You see, the concept of honor drives us or moves us to see those who are overlooked sometimes and to attach worth to their life. It also moves us to sometimes see those who are around us in an everyday situation and to give them worth and significance. But honor also causes us to begin to see those who are over us in authority in a different light. In the story of David, Absalom, his own son, failed to do that. He failed to show honor for his father's position and authority, and because he incited a rebellion, there were dire consequences in his own life and in his family's life. The story of David just has so much to say about honor. As a matter of fact, in David's life, it is so obvious when you read the Psalms and you get into his story that one of the things that marked his life was he recognized who God was. We're going to end this month with the story of the Ark of the Covenant coming back into Jerusalem and David celebrating the very presence of God because there's a connection, and don't fail to connect the dots. When you understand who God is, when you see what God has done and you recognize Him for who He really is, it affects how you honor everyone else He's created. That's why our memory verse is love each other deeply. Honor others more than yourselves. It's found in Romans 12:10. This is just a perspective we hope that every child who grows up in our ministry will have. Every child who grows up in our home will walk away and understand. that because of their relationship with God, because they recognize who God is, it changes the way they honor the people around them, because they begin to see people for who they are in the light of God's creation.